Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to be installing this Perun AB++ MOSFET into this Nuprol Romeo AK. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because you can really help my channel to grow and get seen by the YouTube algorithms. There is a link to my link tree down below that will take you to all my socials and my Discord, which is a great community if you want to come along and join us. And then lastly, I have enabled channel memberships, just 99p a month if you wanted to support the channel a little bit more. Totally optional, massively appreciated if you do. And you get various rewards, videos and things like that for being part of that community. So, hopefully you've seen or you've come here from my unboxing of the AB++, and I'll go more over in this video the actual installation method of getting this installed into the gun itself. So in this case, I've got my Nuprol Romeo AK. I absolutely adore this thing. It's an absolute beast. It weighs a ton. It looks great. I've got an EOTech for it. I've got a peg box for it. Done up to look a bit like Tarkov Raid. And I absolutely adore it. Now, what I'm finding is a little bit of an issue is it's got an aftermarket motor in it, so it's got the couple high speed. It's doing about 21 rounds a second on a 7.4 volt battery, which is great. I'm really happy with that. What I'm not happy with is at times the gearbox overspins, even on a 7.4 overspins and double shots. So the main thing I'm hoping to get out of this is not so much an increase in rate of fire. I'm sort of inconsequential about that. What I'm more interested in is that basically I can use the active brake to stop that overspin in single shot. It's not always happening, just sometimes seems to sort of just suddenly kick in all of a sudden and not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get this stripped down. I'm going to install it and then show you at key stages what I've done as I've gone through. So I've got the gearbox out now, and I'm just about to go and sort of start soldering and desoldering. So these two wires are going to come off these contacts here. So this is a micro switch inside, and I might even open the gearbox up just to make life easier on myself. But basically, these two that will loop, obviously one into the positive terminal, the other one comes back and feeds around to the motor. All of this is going to be replaced by this. So what's going to end up happening is these two wires are going to be very short and literally just run from there down to the motor. The signal wires are going to run along there and onto the contacts at the front. Nice, easy, simple. I literally couldn't be any sort of happier with that, how quick and easy that's going to be. So I'll go and get that soldered up, and when I'm back in a second, I'll show you what it looks like. So as I said, then the first stage was that I desoldered the wires off the micro switch there. So you can see the two holes in the micro switch and the little tab for the wire where I've desoldered from one of the wires. The other one is underneath, as shown by the little arrow there. So there we go. They're quickly and cleanly desoldered off. I'm not a big fan of soldering at all, and I've removed the wires from the motor terminals as well, so the wiring is completely disconnected now. So I'm ready to start soldering things on and building back up. So the first thing I've done there is taking the wiring coming out the end of the MOSFET, and I've run it down where the wiring will run when it goes back into the gun, just to get a feel for the length and sizing that I need there. It's not been a precise measurement, it's been more of a gauging it as such and getting it in the right sort of length and sitting in position correctly. So I'm just made sure that I've got enough of the red and black wires to allow the MOSFET to go up and over sit on top of the gearbox to keep it out of the way of anything else. So what I'm doing there is obviously just clarifying that I've got definitely plenty of room where it can sit around on top. And I'm also getting ready with the signal wire that I'm going to run that round as well. So now that I was happy with that, what I've done there is I've run the signal wire, or one of the signal wires, around under the wire clips, around the front of the gearbox where it would normally come, just to measure it up in line, ready to snip it and solder it to one of those two contacts there on the micro switch. So I've just trimmed it to length and exposed the wire ready to solder on, and pre-soldered up just before I put it on, just to help me get it on there. We're talking tiny little amounts of energy going through this wire, so you know it's the quality of the solder is not massively important, as long as it can carry the tiny little bit of voltage through to detect when the trigger's been pulled and activate the MOSFET. So there's the first one then, soldered on in there in the trickier position. And the second wire then is cut, well, just about to be cut to length. What I've done is I've soldered the starting end to it, and then I'm going to measure up separately. So I've pre-soldered onto the end of this and soldered it onto the contact there. Now, fortunately with these are sat in a way, in a position, particularly with the moulding around the gearbox, that keeps them safe and away from any sort of contact with the sides of the gearbox or anything. If you were worried, you could put like a little bit of electrical tape around there if you needed, just to cover them over, but I'm absolutely fine that that's going to stay well protected away from the gearbox and everything. So there we've got the second control wire there running back round through the clips and measuring it up to basically sort of blend it onto the main power wire out to the MOSFET, out to the motor, which is the way that we power the control wires. So just measuring up there, just making sure I've got enough, not too much, not too little, and ready to snip into that red wire and solder it in. So all I've done is just used a knife there to just strip away some of the protective shielding, just to expose the wire inside. And I'm going to basically solder onto that, just drop a little bit of solder and put the control wire onto that red wire, and then put some heat shrink over it. Please make sure that you are feeding the heat shrink up the red wire, the main red, to the motor before soldering on, obviously, and then drop it over. So a bit of a hack job of soldering there, but got it on in the end, and that's soldered on, it's secure on there. Again, it only needs to carry a really light amount of current, so I've put some heat shrink over it then to obviously seal it down and keep it safe and secure, which I've done. Heated it down, which heat shrink, used a lighter underneath very briefly just to tighten it all down, so that's nice and secure. And now we're into the point where I'm ready to get the wires ready to put onto their terminal. So what I've done there then is I've cut the red wire and made sure it's the right length. As you can see, I've set it in the motor track at the back, in the back of the cage, and making sure that it's always sort of in the positioning that it'll be when it ends up fully installed. And I've crimped on new connector with a heat shrink behind it, ready to heat shrink over it so that it's kept safe and secure, which I've done there. As you can see, I've heat shrunk that down, and that's ready to go onto the red contact that you can see there on the couple high speed. Flip the gearbox over now, then I'm going to do the exact same for the black wire. So I've just, again, as you can see, I've run it down the track, down the back of the motor cage, just measuring up for distance, and snipped it down and put on the connector, mini spade connector, and I'm going to heat shrink that as well, ready to secure onto the motor. And those are done and ready and installed, nice and secure. I did do a little bit of moulding just to get the wires, as you can see in this picture, at the bottom there, just sort of moulded them around a little bit better, just so they sit and they'll form better into the pistol grip. And that is literally as simple and as easy as it was installing this and getting it all back together. So following the guide then, that's it. We are done and installed. I've not plugged the battery in yet. I'm almost frightened to do it. So just to sort of recap then, we soldered on the signal wires onto the two contacts on the micro switch. Unfortunately, I can't put an optical type in MOSFET into this because it's a micro switch based gearbox and not a traditional trigger block. Not to worry, it still means, you know, I get this awesome little MOSFET in there. So the signal wires run round. One goes straight into the MOSFET, the other one we spliced onto the red cable. The motor wires are obviously measured and sort of put in place, and basically to try and keep, I have left a little bit of excess. I've just sort of left a bit of excess just in case there was anything I'd not considered, particularly around there at the front here, just because I know it needs to come out and round and across the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the battery for the moment of truth. Now it should probably give me a beep, maybe, or light up, and then nothing, and then I should be able to just pull the trigger and see what happens. So here we go. Oop, it beeped, okay. And we got a green light. I'm guessing that was all good. Right, okay, here we go then. Ooh. 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 Right, okay. Single. And I am happy to say that that is working completely. So to program this then, there is a little button there. You can see, hopefully I'll lift this up to the screen then. Ooh. There is, on the MOSFET itself, a little button just there. And we're just going to press that double 2. So there we are, we're in burst mode. If I want to burst, press it again. I'm now in AB, active braking. And then I'm in pre-cocking, rate of fire reduction, DMR mode if I wanted it, LiPo alarm. That's saying it's on. Master reset, exit, and I'm back to, and then I'm out, and that's it, I'm back to running it again. So all just clicking that tiny little button in allows me to cycle through the programming menu. Now I'm going to be honest, that's miles easier to program as well than the MRF. So what I'll do is I'll get this rebuilt, and I'll leave you right at the end just with the chrono in, just to see if we've gained any sort of rate of fire at all. Not that I was doing it for that, I was doing it to stop the, hopefully stop the overspin double shot on single shot that happened even with a 7.4. So just show you, other than the top cover, it's back together. So the stick LiPo runs down there. I've pulled the excess wire in down this end. I'm possibly going to put a little bit of duct tape just to keep those neat and to the side of the gearbox, just to help keep them out of the way, just so they're not moving about much or at all. Just obviously to stop them getting snipped really, but they quite easily replaced if I need to. Tuck those down there quite neatly, and I can just fold that over or even shorten that when I want. Top cover comes in. Famous last words. That's set in the wrong position. There we go. So just had to put it on top, and all fully working. So let's go and see what the rate of fire is like now. Probably an ever so slight increase in rate of fire. So we did see like 1 BB per second faster. So before it was like 21.5 rounds per second, it's now 22.5 rounds per second. I also spammed the living daylights out of single shot, obviously with that active brake on. By default, there are 5 levels of active brake, and I believe it comes by default, it's on 3. I didn't seem to have any double shots whatsoever at all, and the warmth of the motor was very minimal as well. So all in all, I've been really happy. I hope that's been useful to you. A couple of points I would say is maybe I should have allowed a little bit more wire just for this to sit a little bit higher up, but it does sit fine underneath here in the end. Probably could have done with an extra centimetre or so on the wiring just to sit a bit higher, but that's just a point to note. I also could have gone significantly shorter on the control wires as well, but that's sort of obviously why I do these sort of things, so you guys can sort of see my pitfalls. So hope that's been helpful to you. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm really happy with the outcome of it. And please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the Linktree link down in my description below for all my socials and my Discord. And I will see you next time, guys. Bye.